Hey everyone, the name's Erik Thor, and in this video I want to teach you to see through fraud in the Mbti and in the typology community. And what I want to teach you in this video is to notice and recognize when other people are bullshitting you, because there are a lot of frauds in the Mbti, people who act like they know something when they really don't. And there is a difference here between a fraud and a layman. There are people who, of course, are just like you, exploring and learning and trying to find out the truth. And there are people who act like they have the truth when they really don't. So what's the difference, and how can you dispel people like this? Well, what you have to first and foremost recognize is the use of jargon. Jargon has one core purpose, and that is to confuse the person they are talking to. Jargon is used to defend yourself against criticism and critical thinking from other people. When you find yourself talking with someone who uses and hides behind jargon, difficult, unintuitive words, complex words that make a little to no sense, what you have to do is you have to challenge the jargon. You have to ask for concrete and meaningful statements. If you don't understand what the other person is talking about, for example, if you are completely new to MBTI and you are hearing someone talk about the cognitive functions, you're going to have to ask them to slow down and to tell you in practical terms what they think your personality type is. You have to ask them, what does introvert intuition mean? You have to ask them for meaningful and accurate statements about the personality types. You have to ask for actual observations about people and practical uses of the theory. It's easy enough to think of jargon and to use jargon to understand personality psychology. But jargon can only have a purpose if you can actively use it to understand other people. If you can use it in a way that even a layman would understand. There can be a use of talking about the cognitive functions, but often I refrain from it. I was challenged early, 2 years into the MBTI, by my INFJ mentor to stop using jargon. And I took that challenge. I decided, okay, I will try not to use the cognitive functions in my theories. I will try not to use jargon. I will try to give accurate and meaningful definitions behind each personality type. And I'll try to refrain from using things that are too simplistic or too difficult to comprehend. I had two challenges here. First, avoid stereotypes. Second, avoid jargon. And you have to look for people who can actively seek this sweet spot. The sweet spot of not stereotyping you and giving you simplistic definitions such as astrology. Simplistic definitions such as, you are a kind person, but sometimes you become angry. You have to meet and talk to people who actively are able to avoid ambiguity. If the other person that you are talking to gives ambiguous statements that to you seem unclear, if you start thinking, well, yeah, I can agree with that, but I can also agree with something else. I can agree that I'm outgoing, but not always. Then you have to be able to actively question and challenge that ambiguity. And you have to say and raise this concern to the other person, and they have to be able to clear up the ambiguity. If you feel uncertain about something, that is for good reason. If you feel something is unclear, that is for good reason. If you feel like someone is using words that don't make sense, don't become uncertain. The worst thing you can do in this situation when other people are acting like they know a lot is to become uncertain, to doubt yourself, and to think, oh, they seem to be so smart and they seem to know everything. I guess they are right because they seem so smart. Trust yourself. If you don't know what they are talking about, chances are they don't know either. And what you can do that is so important, I think, to also note this, because we can all fall into these mistakes. Even I sometimes will give ambiguous statements. Even I sometimes will have jargon. And I will try not to, but sometimes I will make these mistakes. And then the second thing you can do to recognize a fraud is to ask a question and see how the other person handles it. If the other person gets defensive, if the other person doesn't seem to want to answer your problems, if they get angry at you or start making you feel stupid, there's a good chance that they are frauds. It eventually comes down to your gut. If you feel something is off, trust that instinct. If you feel like something is wrong, trust that instinct. Practice critical thinking. Practice the ability to see for yourself what is true, because eventually you're going to have to be able to do that anyways. If you are, no matter if you're a layman or someone who has worked with Mbti for 1 or 5 years, you need to be able to trust your own reasoning skills and your ability to decide what personality type you are. You can't come to someone else and have them tell you what type you are. And you can't believe it just because they say it. You have to believe it yourself, because when you think about it logically, using the evidence they helped you find, or what you find when you search the internet, using critical thinking to evaluate the sources you got, to decide which ones seem to make the most sense. Which type are you? Which type are you? If you trust your own gut, if you trust your own ability to judge and make a deduction about evidence you have. I meet so many people that get so confused because of what other people tell them. Other people will go around giving statements about what personality type you are based on shallow evidence, often very, very shallow evidence. A simple tweet, a simple message. But eventually, you are the only person with the full picture of who you are. You are the only person who can separate what your intentions are and what your behavior is. You are the only person who can say for sure what your goal is, what you find meaningful, what interests you, compared to what other people see of you in practice. You are the only person who can see through the stereotype of you, how you tend to act in groups, how you come off at work, how you tend to be in school, versus who you really are. I find that people who exist to coach you in MBTI, to tell you what personality type you are, to help you through the process, the only thing they can do that actually helps is help you find things to read, things to study, questions to ask yourself, and ways to sort out ambiguity and to understand jargon. That's the only thing a coach can possibly do for you, someone who works with MBTI. They can only help you find out for yourself what your personality type is. They can't tell it to you for you. They can't do that process for you. And if they do, it's not going to work. It's not going to help. If you don't get it yourself, you're not going to be able to use it in a meaningful way in your personal life. If you don't understand what it means to be this personality type, or what it actually employs for you in your personal life, in your situation, what they told you was completely useless. And I guess that's the point of this video. I don't mean to bash anyone. Everyone can get insecure, everyone can get uncertain. Sometimes we all fall into jargon, sometimes we all fall into more astrological statements. We all make mistakes, we don't always know the truth. Nobody is a perfect expert on the field of personality psychology. But we need to practice being honest, humble, and critical. We need to practice being authentic, real, and serious when we actually study these subjects. We need to practice being understanding towards ourselves and towards other people. And we need to show respect for each person's process in finding out their personality type. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, leave a like, share, or subscribe. And for now, may your neurons be with you.